Hi, it's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock at night, channel 97, 95. We are watching one more show of the neighborhood news. With me here is Bernadette, my co-host, and we have a special guest here today. Before we talk to our guests, I would like to let you know if it's not a Tuesday and you're watching this show, it's because you're watching a repeat show. So please tune in next Tuesday at 7 o'clock and we have a brand new show for you. For our Portuguese community, sejam bem-vindos para mais programa das suas notícias da sua vizinhança. É terça-feira, 7 horas da noite, canal 95. Estamos aqui com mais show para si. Hoje vamos falar de seguros. E temos convidado para isso aqui no estúdio. Não se esqueça, se está a ver este show e não é terça-feira, está a haver show que está a ser repetido, portanto venha ver novo show na próxima terça-feira e fique connosco. And Bernadette, how you doing?
I'm good.
You doing good?
Oh yeah, I'm liking the weather.
No snow, so
no snow. I'll take the rain. 50 degrees. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know how we go in 24 hours from 0 to 50.
Tell me about it.
But I'm not complaining.
Welcome to New England.
New England. There you go.
What else? We have friends and our guest today. It's Chip. Everybody knows Chip. So we don't have to use too many introductions.
Right. No introduction needed. And
today, Chip is gonna educate myself and whoever it's out there that have questions maybe about insurance and health insurance and stuff like that. And I think if you want to know something about that, the right person to ask is Chip. He has a lot of information and a lot of proofs that whatever he says that he can prove it. So, insurance, Chip. Can you please tell us a little bit about insurance?
Well, let me say this at the beginning. There's a lot of confusion out there, and it's it may be intentional, but let's kind of paint the picture first. We see the school department saying that they're running over budget and they're short of money and they need money for health care, and we see the city side saying that they're going to take money out of the health care fund, the employer fund. And neither of those things are true, okay? Number one, the school department is not a separate health care piece. They're part of group insurance. The way we run insurance and the way insurance is run throughout the country, this is why they have the GIC on the state level. The more people in a plan, the more stable and lower the premium is, because the way they figure insurance is on how much money they spend. So if you've got a larger group with younger people in it, the younger people who don't use a lot of medical care offset the bills for the older people and everybody in the middle, and it stabilizes premiums. So, since we've had health care, Fall River has had group insurance, which means all the city side and the school department. But last year, the school department wanted to show that in their budget. The problem with showing it in their budget is if you only take the employees in the school department out and try to run numbers, those numbers aren't accurate, because the entire pool isn't there. And the best analogy I can use is, if, let's say we were in Hawaii and we all had health care, and I decided I wanted to take the leper colony on Molokai and try to run numbers for their health care. Of course, their health care would be very high, but that's not the real health care cost. The real health care cost is when their high bills are offset by the younger, healthier people. There's your true premium. Right. The school department is trying to contend that they're over budget, and if you look at that little piece of number, they are, but that's not really an accurate number, because we're a group, and as much as they try to say they're separate, they're not. Right. We have group insurance. As a matter of fact, I will hold this up to the camera. I don't know if you can do a close-up. This is from the city of Fall River. It's from a place called Group Benefit Strategies, which is our healthcare monitor. They monitor over 100 cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And if you read that, it says group health insurance. Doesn't say school department or any, it says group. And every single group is in there, because if I open the page and look at these numbers, the employees are not separated by departments. So first of all, the school department, it's not accurate. They are not running over budget. They're using that to try to get more money. The fact is they're part of a group that's running under budget, so overall, there's not a problem. The problem is with the fact that they wanted to take that out. And I've actually told the city administrator and the mayor that they should have never allowed it, and if they should remove it from the school department budget, because it's false numbers.
Right.
You're taking pieces, and if you read a sentence out of a paragraph, it doesn't say what the paragraph says. You can
Right.
take it out of context. This is being taken out of context. Just as on the city side, they're saying that they've got money they can pick, but they can't, because we're what we call a self-insurer, which means that we don't have a premium. We just pay the bills as they come in. So if we have a surplus right now, that surplus is not available until the end of the billing year. Because if we're running under budget right now overall, and if we have a few bad months and run over budget, you have to dip into that fund to pay. That's what it's excess. It's like the analogy I used before we went on the air. Your gas company bill. If you take the standardized payment, and you pay that particular throughout the course of the year. If you have some warm months, you've got some money in the bank. If you got some cold months, you owe money.
Right.
But if you have a warm month and a cold month, they kind of balance off. That's
Right.
basically what the healthcare does. And the city council can't take that money. It's prohibited by statute. 32B, Section 3A states clearly that the treasurer must keep money in there to pay the bills. So we're going to have some issues with that. And the healthcare fund is running well. This group benefit strategy every month, we're about $2 million under budget, but we have 4 months left in the year, so we'll see what happens at the end of the year. Then that money can be certified as free cash, and then they can use it where they want. So a lot of people are being told a lot of things, and the problem we have here is that I have as a member of the Insurance Advisory Committee, and as also the PEC representative, is that I have said it on numerous occasions at meetings, and we can get people in from the kid. I've told them, why don't you get the school department and the city side in and straighten this out?
Right.
And I'm not sure, to be perfectly truthful, if they want to straighten it out. I think they like the confusion. They don't want the people to understand that this is not a problem. If there's one thing in the city of Fall River and the finances in the city of Fall River that isn't a problem, it's healthcare. We received a state award as the best healthcare system in the state of Massachusetts
Awesome.
a couple of years ago. We have been under budget for years. If there's one little piece of Fall River that's running right, it's the healthcare. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys got any questions.
So on your opinion, should that show on the school budget or not?
Absolutely not, because it's a false. It will always lead to false numbers, because if we're insuring 10,000 people, and I decide to take 2,000 out of there and do numbers just on them, because we are in a group, they're not separate. It's called in the healthcare system adverse selection. It's like if I decided to figure your rates on all old people, if I say, well, everybody that I'm going to look at the numbers and how much they spent on healthcare was over 75,
Right.
of course they're going to be astronomical.
Of course.
And if I say I'm only going to look at people under 25, they're going to be too low.
Right.
This is why you get larger groups, and then you get actuarials who do this, and they do a very good job. And that's how they set it. So it should never be in there, because they're not separate. It's impossible. And if they ever became separate, they would go bankrupt, because the smaller the pool, the
more the
higher the insurance is.
Right.
It's just like if you have a business and you're a business and you have to take single health care. Yeah, health care
money.
plan's a lot more money.
Yeah.
The more people you get in your health care plan, the the lower your premium is, because the larger the group, and that's what people do. And I don't, look, I'm going to be perfectly frank, as I always am. This was a money grab by the school department. They kept looking at the fact that, actually I went before the council a couple times and said, Fall River's been averaging $3 million a year from the health care. We've been running under budget for the last 4. We got $15 million in the past 5 fiscal years. We were under. So the city got that money to play with. And the school department figured, well, let's get a piece of that.
Right.
But they didn't realize that you can't take that piece out because there are other factors involved. You can't project costs properly, because you can't only project costs on your school department employees. If you want to project, you have to project on everybody in the city, because everybody in the city is in the plan. It's just a mess. It can't, all it does is confuse things and confuse the issue. And the second thing is, if you ever wanted to do it, they could probably come out with a way to reconcile it if they just look at the premium. But the problem is, in this city, there seems to be, they never want to talk. We've said this for months now. Why don't you get the school department in a room with the city side and have them figure this out? And they've even sent their financial guy over there, Kevin Almeida, the last 3 or 4 meetings. He's sitting in the back of the room, and I don't know whether he's sleeping or he's listening to his MP3 or whatever he's playing, because they walk out and he still allows the school department to make, and it's false. As a matter of fact, it's a flat-out misrepresentation to the people of Fall River, and they're creating a deficit that doesn't exist.
So what is the plans, the way you see it, what is the plans for the next fiscal year?
I don't know, because I think they're still up in the air. I have continued to be an advocate of removing it and putting it back to the way it was, because if you look at most towns that are self-insurers, they don't separate their departments because they're groups, and we're self-insurers. If it's a premium plan, it wouldn't matter. Most people have what they call a premium plan. You pay your premium, and no matter what the bills are,
Right.
they get paid. And you know what you're going to pay, and it doesn't matter if the bills are high or low, like a self-insurer is. But
if it creates that much confusion, why they trying to accomplish having this on their budget?
Well, sometimes confusion for politicians is good, and they like to create that confusion because they have money to play with. If you notice how many times they said they've gone to the health care to take money out, now the city council's looking to health care money. It's been a slush fund for years. But the problem is, we have to look at it for what it is. As it said on this document, it's a group health insurance. You can't carve any piece out and run numbers on a piece of a whole,
Right.
because they're not accurate.
Correct.
And it should have never been given to the school department. It should be removed from the school department budget and put back in, or they should sit them in a room, as we've said before, which I don't know. As I said, Kevin Almeida's been sitting in the last 3 meetings. He doesn't seem to pay attention, even though all these numbers clearly show. And we've got the contradiction here. We've got the school department saying that the health care, they need more money. And on the other side, you got the city council saying the health care's got plenty of money, we're going to take it out and give it to them. Well, no, it's the same money. This is a shell game. They're misrepresenting everything about this thing. And as I said before, and Dr. Costa's in here now, so he can hear it as a school committeeman. If there's one thing in the city of Fall River that's being run properly, it's group insurance. We got a state award. We've run under budget for decades. The last 5 years, the city of Fall River has realized $15 million in extra money through our healthcare system because we ran under budget in the co-pays. This is unconscionable to me to have this kind of total misrepresentation and never ever making an attempt. I've said it 25 times in the last 3 weeks. Why don't you get everybody in the room and have them figure the numbers out and figure out a way to do this? I know how to do it. Apparently, the city understands, but the city doesn't want to. There seems to be almost, they want this confusion. They want the people to be confused, and it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. We've got enough issues with the healthcare plan. Our prescription drugs, as with the rest of the country, are a nightmare. And we have major issues with our prescription drugs now. Even though our plan's running under budget, our prescription drugs are running 15% higher because of price manipulation by the companies and pharmaceuticals. We got enough issues to try to keep this thing affordable for all our employees. To make it a contention that they're under budget because they took a piece out. Anybody, don't take my word for it. Call anybody you know in the healthcare industry and ask them what an adverse selection is. It's when you take a piece out of a whole and attempt to do numbers on it. You can't do that. You can't take just the old people in the plan and set a premium. You can't take just the young people in the plan and set a premium. You've got to set a plan on the entire group. That's called experience. We take the total experience and we set a premium. So only in Fall River did we figure out a way to screw this up. We found the only thing that was running right in the city of Fall River, the healthcare system, and we managed to screw it up.
So, and this is going on for how long do you think this?
Well, it just started like last. The school department decided, and as I said before, I think Meg Mayo Brown saw the extra money, wanted a piece of the money, but she didn't understand the big picture. All she saw was the money, but she doesn't understand all the other things that are part of a healthcare system, like the stop-loss premiums, the paybacks on the loan we gave on the pharmaceuticals. There's a whole bunch of things. It's a pretty complex thing. It's under control, and people who understand it, it's not a big deal. But when you try to, it's like, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. This is exactly what happened when the school department asked, and as far as I'm concerned, and I will take that position publicly, and I have before, that should be removed from the school department and not put in the school department budget, because unless they're going to say the only thing we're going to show in our budget is the premiums. We're not going to do any projections on our next year's costs, because those things are all done by the group. There's only one way they could reflect that accurately in their budget, and that is only to look at what their premium costs are, because those premium costs are fixed for the employees. And then the problem comes on their side, because we're a self-insurer, and what happens is when you're a self-insurer, they can't give you they can't figure out how much money they can give you on their 75% side, because your group isn't part of the total. You're trying to take them out. So if you're running higher than budget, you need money from the city. And if you're running under budget, the city's short, and you need to take money from them. So that's why I said, as far as I'm concerned, it should not be part of the budget. There's no feasible way to do that, because the only thing you can show is the employee principal. Their premiums. Because being a self-insurer, our bills go like this. We could have a couple of months here and a couple of months there, and you're running under, and then boom. And that's the way the system runs. And it's been running, but as I said, it's not a problem. They're making a problem. And frankly, it's very, very irritating.
So, and going back to my question that I just asked you a couple of minutes ago is, they separated this when? How long ago they
like a year ago.
A year ago.
Yeah, a year.
So
It's 2 fiscal years, because they've overlapped. But what happened was, when they did it, as usual, they didn't pay any attention. They weren't aware that the employees had given the city a $900,000 loan to maintain the Canadian drug plan. And the city owed us the money. They had to pay us back. And the school department, then they hit the school department with a bill, and they're going, whoa, we didn't know about this. Well, you know why? Because you shouldn't be involved in it. And that's the problem, because all these other things that nobody thinks of until later, all they thought about was short-sightedness, and they put the blinders on, and all they thought about was the money. Look at the money, and we're going to show the money.
Can we reverse that?
Yeah, I mean, look, as far as I know, we may be the only city. We may be the only city that self-insures that separate the school. And if they separate it, there's got to be a formula that they use, and there's got to be what we don't ever have in Fall River is cooperation between the city and the schools. They never agree, and they won't get in a room, even though we've said, why don't you just get them in a room and figure it out? Because you can do it if the city and the school department understood that this is not, it's only paper we're showing in the budget. We have to come up with a mechanism where if we're running over budget and you're running under budget, you got to give us money, and vice versa, you give money to us, and then everything's done. But it's a little complicated that way, and in this city, frankly, I would not trust that because they lose money all the time.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, each body, if you have to, every time that we have to give money, it's always a problem. So that's why I don't see how that can work. But I mean, if that is the problem, the way you were explaining that it was working before, that works the way that the numbers being shown, that's been working for all this time, and we are just 1 year into this new process, and really the problems are there. I think they should consider it and going back to the old system. I mean, we have new school board members now that they very committed to the committee, and I believe that's something that they really can accomplish if they all work into that goal.
Yeah, you're right. You know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
And the fact is, I can show you a document from the DOR that says that the city of Fall River is probably the highest city outside of Boston in the state. We've gotten $15 million more in the last 5 fiscal years. Why would you tamper with the only thing in the city of Fall River that's running under budget and running effectively? That's the only, that's the only thing you can point to in the city of Fall River and say, look, they got a state award as the best healthcare system. Everything's running perfect. They're running under budget. Here's GBS. I mean, we've got this every month. We got a report every month on what the numbers are. We got almost $6 million in the employee trust fund. It's like, it's not broke. Leave it alone.
Greedy. I see greedy. I see money grab.
Yeah,
it's
money grab.
there.
That's
it's
it,
money
Carlos.
grab.
Money grab.
So it's money there that we can grab, and if that means that we have to separate, some people from the group for us to be able to grab that money. I mean, that's the way I see it. I don't have a doctor's degree, but I think explaining and hearing the way you're explaining, I mean, it's obvious.
Well, it's simple mathematics. The last thing you want to do is take out the school department employees and make them an adverse selection because it's a smaller group. Smaller groups always have higher costs.
Right.
I mean, they'll bankrupt themselves. I heard a couple of people in the school department say they want to run their own health care plan. Really? Why did the state create the GIC? To have a larger pool to stabilize premiums. So the school department wants to do just the opposite. We want to take our employees out, and then you'll be bankrupt. Then your health care budget will be 10 times what the city side is. I mean, this is working. It always has worked. We haven't reinvented the wheel. We've worked hard to cut our costs, to negotiate the best health care plans we can for our people. And it's working. It's working. Like I said, in the last 5 fiscal years, the city's realized a $15 million surplus. Wow. And I don't know why this is even a topic of conversation.
Right.
It should not be. And for the city council to say they want to take money, they don't even know the law. They're prohibited by law from getting that money. As I said, Section 32, Chapter 32B, Section 3A clearly states the treasurer shall keep money in, sufficient money and sufficient funds to pay the bills. We can't let them take that money because that money's for the rest of this fiscal year. Mm-hmm. And if we have bad months, we've got to use some of that money. Right. It's just, I mean, look, it boggles my mind. Maybe to me it's too simple because I've been doing it for 30 years.
Right.
But the fact is that it's not that. I mean, if I look at something and a guy tells me, look, this has worked for decades. It's working great right now. That's the last place I'm going to try to tinker with. Mm-hmm. But that's Fall River.
Right.
Before we have a few minutes, I know you have experience. You always have your numbers there updated every month. Did you ever got approached by either school department or city for any,
I did have a short meeting with the mayor before an IAC meeting, and I explained it to him, and he said, and he said, wow, I didn't realize a lot of these things, and he said, we have to have another meeting, and he asked me if I was willing to meet with school department people to explain it, and I said yes, but that was the last time. I haven't had a subsequent meeting. But I did go in before an IAC meeting, and I talked to him, but of course we had limited time because I had to go to the meeting and they were holding the meeting. And then I saw him at subsequent meeting, and he asked me to go in and, could we talk again? I said, no, I held these people up the last time. If
Right.
you're here after the meeting, I'll meet with you, and he wasn't. He was gone. But he did ask me if I would meet, but I don't even understand the reason for that. They brought over their guy. They brought over this Kevin Almeida. He sat in a room. He's listening to all the numbers that we're listening to, yet there seems to be it gets lost in the translation. He goes back to the school department and he allows them to misrepresent the facts. The fact is, what they're saying is a half-truth and a half-lie. Yeah, their numbers may be accurate for their healthcare costs, but that's not the true healthcare costs.
Right.
It's only for that small part. When
portion.
you stick them back in our group,
The numbers change.
The numbers change.
Yeah.
and city, I mean, you've seen a problem with the school departments and city-wise. It's anything that you see that is not.
Yeah, lack of communication. They don't communicate. As we know, we're sitting here, we're communicating. If we don't understand something, we talk about it until
right.
somebody understands it.
Right.
And even though this problem has been going on for a long time right now, even though we've said it at numerous times, get them in the room. I've said it numerous times. They don't seem to ever get this thing resolved. You see the school department going in front of the city council and giving their pitch. Then you hear the city council giving their pitch, and nobody ever gets together. I don't understand, and I said it before on our show, and you were there, I think, when I said, why doesn't the mayor just order both sides to get in a room and say, you're going to stay
figure
in
it out.
here until you figure it out,
Right.
and we'll slide pizza under the door.
Yeah.
And you're going to stay here till you fix this, because this is something that the city should not be dealing with. This should not be, like you said, but Carlos, you said it right. We said it years ago. You want to find out what the root of the problem is, follow the money. It's about money.
Wow.
Unfortunate.
And it's been half an hour. Chip, thank you for coming and kind of educate myself and educate whoever needs to be educated about it. I definitely going to get out of here with more knowledge in what when they're talking about health insurance for the school department and
got a
for the
crash
city.
course.
Now I know I got the a half an hour course. So
Well, I appreciate
Thank
you
you, Chip.
having me, and I think, we're always available. Thanks.
thank you, and I see you next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good night.